Today we explore 5 of the most harrowing workplace deaths in history. These true stories highlight the inherent dangers in certain professions and underscore the vital importance of stringent safety measures. Each tragic tale is a stark reminder of workers' daily risks, from freak accidents to unexpected hazards. Join us as we uncover the chilling details of these fatal incidents. It was June 6, 2024, at the University of Chicago Comprehensive Cancer Center in Hyde Park. David O'Donnell, a 27-year-old construction worker employed by High Tech Stakeout, was working on scaffolding with Jeffrey Spurka, an experienced iron worker. David was diligent and committed, focusing on his tasks high above ground, unaware of the imminent danger that would change their lives forever. The cancer center's construction involved multiple contractors, with Turner Construction as the general contractor and Adjustable Forms Incorporated responsible for the scaffolding. The project had been progressing smoothly, but the weather in Chicago turned hazardous on this day. By mid-morning, winds picked up, reaching 41 miles per hour. Despite these conditions, work continued. Workers had previously voiced concerns about the scaffolding's stability, especially at the southwest corner where it was attached to the building. Unfortunately, these warnings were ignored. The scaffold, over 100 feet above ground, had a fragile connection involving a 4-foot piece of plywood nailed to the structure. This makeshift bridge would soon become a fatal flaw. Around noon, the wind intensified, peaking at 44 miles per hour. Witnesses saw the scaffolding sway dangerously. David and Jeffrey were on the platform when the corner of the scaffold, inadequately secured, started pulling away from the building. The plywood bridge failed, leading to the scaffold's collapse. David and Jeffrey fell over 80 feet. David, without a harness or rope, fell to the ground and died despite rescue efforts. Jeffrey, though critically injured, survived and was rushed to the hospital with severe brain and body injuries. His survival is attributed to a layer of PVC pipes that cushioned his fall. The accident caused immediate chaos. The construction site was shut down, and investigations by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, and other agencies began. Legal battles followed. David's family, devastated, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Turner Construction and Adjustable Forms Incorporated. They claimed negligence, citing inadequate safety measures and the scaffold's inability to withstand the wind. Jeffrey Spurka, represented by attorney Lou Cairo, sued the same companies. Representing both families, Cairo pointed to safety lapses and criticized the decision to continue working in such high winds. The lawsuits highlighted the scaffold's poor condition, especially the plywood bridge at the corner, secured only by a few nails. The collapse happened at this weak point, causing David and Jeffrey's fall. OSHA guidelines state that work should stop in high winds unless deemed safe by a competent person, and workers must have appropriate fall protection. On June 6th, neither condition was met. David and Jeffrey, only in fluorescent vests, were vulnerable on the swaying scaffold. Turner Construction and Adjustable Forms Incorporated expressed condolences and pledged to support the investigations. Turner's spokesperson, Chris McFadden, emphasized the company's commitment to safety and suspended all construction activities pending the investigation. Adjustable Forms President Eric Lindquist acknowledged the tragedy and offered condolences. As investigations continued, questions emerged about why workers' warnings were ignored. Addressing concerns about the scaffold's stability might have prevented the tragic fall. The lawsuits exposed a critical gap in safety oversight and questioned the practices of the general contractor and the subcontractor. The O'Donnell family sought accountability through their lawsuit, demanding significant damages to enforce stricter safety protocols in the construction industry. David's death was not just a personal loss, but a reminder of the importance of safety regulations. Jeffrey Spurka, recovering from his injuries, faced a long road ahead. His lawsuit called for accountability and highlighted the need for better safety measures. The accident left him with physical and emotional scars, and his family's legal action aimed to secure justice and support for his recovery. The construction industry closely watched the lawsuit's outcomes as they would determine compensation for the O'Donnell and Spurka families and set a standard for handling similar cases in the future. It was January 15, 2024, in Dysart, Queensland. A 27-year-old coal miner, Luke O'Brien, had just started his shift at BHP Mitsubishi Alliance's Saraji South coal mine. Luke was known for his love of mining and speedway racing. He often shared his adventures on social media and enjoyed weekends with friends at Mojo's. That day, however, his routine task turned into a tragedy. Around midday, Luke and a co-worker towed a stuck B double fuel truck. Luke stood between the tray of a light utility vehicle or ute and the fuel truck's bull bar. The ute rolled backward in a sudden and tragic turn, crushing Luke against the truck. The incident happened around noon. Emergency services were called immediately. Paramedics arrived around 1:30 p.m. and rushed Luke to Dysart Hospital. Despite all efforts to save him, Luke's injuries were too severe, and he died later that evening. News of Luke's death quickly resonated throughout the mining community. In response, Resources Safety and Health Queensland initiated a comprehensive investigation. Rob Jukic, the Chief Operating Officer of RSHQ, expressed deep sympathy and confirmed that an investigation was launched immediately after they were notified. He mentioned that several investigators and inspectors from the Serious Incident Investigation Unit and Coal Inspectorate are collaborating closely with BMA to determine the cause of the incident and develop strategies to prevent future accidents. The Queensland Police also joined the investigation, preparing a report for the coroner. Operations at Saraji Mine were halted immediately to allow the investigation to proceed and to give workers time to reflect on their colleague's death. Luke O'Brien's sudden death shocked the local and broader mining communities. The Queensland Resources Council and the Mining and Energy Union issued statements offering condolences and committing to uncovering the causes of the tragedy. Judy Bertram, acting CEO of the Queensland Resources Council, expressed deep sympathy for the family enduring an unimaginable loss and the friends, colleagues, and first responders involved. She affirmed the Council's support for all efforts to prevent similar tragedies in the future. The Mining and Energy Union expressed their profound grief following a tragic incident, stating their devastation over a coal miner not returning home after their shift. Union safety inspectors were deployed to ensure a thorough investigation and to recommend measures to prevent future incidents. Luke was more than just a miner to those who knew him. His family, friends, and co-workers expressed their grief and shared memories across social media. His mother, Yvette O'Brien, spoke of a shattered heart over the loss of her son. At the same time, his father, Terence O'Brien, posted about the pain of losing his youngest son after the incident at Saraji Mine, thanking everyone for their support during this difficult time. High school friends and colleagues remembered Luke as a hard-working and passionate individual. Glenn Payne, a friend from Luke's school days, shared with 7 News that Luke loved Speedway, a passion he shared with his father, a longtime racer. Scotty Wedemeyer, a field service diesel fitter, mourned the loss of their meetups at Mojo's and encountered at the mine and camp. Mick Veal, owner of Veal Industries, recalled meeting Luke, describing him as one of the best, and remembered moments of camaraderie during challenging jobs. McCosker Gladstone Speedway paid tribute to Luke's enthusiasm for racing, noting that he competed in his modified sedan on their track and was known as a respectful and well-liked individual. They expressed that his passing represents a significant loss for the racing community, emphasizing that he will be deeply missed. Luke O'Brien's tragic death underscored the inherent dangers of mining and prompted a renewed emphasis on safety within the industry. BMA's asset president, Adam Lancy, extended deep sympathies and emphasized the importance of workplace safety, acknowledging the profound impact of the loss on Luke's family, friends, and colleagues during this difficult time. Queensland Resources Minister Scott Stewart addressed the tragedy's wider implications, highlighting the expectations for worker safety. He described the incident as a heartbreaking reminder of the inherent risks associated with mining, emphasizing the importance of ongoing efforts to ensure workers come home safe and healthy. The industry is committed to implementing significant measures to prevent such tragedies in the future. Union District President Mitch Hughes pledged a comprehensive investigation, emphasizing the union's determination to scrutinize every detail to understand the incident's circumstances and devise strategies to prevent future fatalities and injuries. It was August 15, 2017, in the dense Sir Hoey forest near Cwmfelinfach, South Wales. Ben Thomas, a 24-year-old from Aberbargod, Caerphilly, had worked as a forestry worker with Tree Finesse, a Pontypool-based company, since April 2017. Although it was his day off, Ben agreed to take on extra work, eager to make his mark in his new role. That day, a routine tree felling job would lead to a tragic accident. Before becoming a lumberjack, Ben was a scaffolder but longed for outdoor work. After earning his forestry qualifications in January 2017, he was thrilled to start with Tree Finesse. Known for his enthusiasm and hard work, Ben was excited to be clearing trees for Natural Resources Wales in Sir Hoey Forest, an area he loved. On that fateful morning, Ben arrived at the site ready to work alongside colleagues Mark Whitehead and Elliot Wilmer. The team adhered to safety protocols, working at safe distances, about 50 meters apart, while cutting trees. This spacing was a crucial safety measure to prevent accidents during the cutting process. Ben was using his chainsaw on a large tree, working out of sight of Mark and Elliot, who were occupied with their tasks. Around noon, Ben called out, "I'm finished," to signal he had completed his work. Mark and Elliot heard him and continued their tasks after putting on their ear defenders. Those would be the last words they heard from Ben. Minutes passed, and Mark and Elliot noticed an unusual silence from Ben's direction. The sound of his chainsaw had stopped. Alarmed, they removed their ear defenders and listened closely, only to hear the faint idling of Ben's chainsaw. They hurried towards the noise and discovered a horrifying scene. Ben was trapped under a large tree. The large tree he felled had caused another tree, which had been leaning precariously, to collapse on him. Mark and Elliot immediately tried to cut the tree off Ben, but their efforts came too late. Ben had sustained severe injuries and was unresponsive. Emergency services were called, and paramedic Daniel Waits arrived, navigating the difficult terrain of fallen trees. Upon reaching Ben, it was clear he had already passed away. Ben's body showed significant trauma, with heavy bruising on his head and a chest that was soft and pliable. A post-mortem examination revealed the full extent of Ben's injuries: fractured ribs, lacerated lungs, and crush asphyxiation. Tests confirmed that Ben had no alcohol or drugs in his system at the time of his death. The incident triggered investigations by Gwent Police and the Health and Safety Executive. The Newport Coroner's Court inquest aimed to understand how the accident occurred to a diligent worker like Ben. Testimonies from his colleagues, supervisor, and industry experts depicted tragic misfortune. Mark Whitehead, the manager of Tree Finesse, described Ben as a safe worker who had cut around 15,000 trees during his short time with the company. He emphasized that Ben was following proper safety guidelines, which mandate that tree felling should be done alone, but under supervision from a distance. Elliot Wilmer recalled Ben's last words and their frantic efforts to save him. He described the realization that their attempts were futile and how they coped with the tragedy. Forestry expert Martin Lennon explained that the tree that fell on Ben had been leaning for a long time. This sleeper tree was not visible from Ben's position. When Ben cut his tree, the sleeper tree was destabilized and collapsed, causing his fatal injuries. After 4 days of deliberation, the inquest jury concluded that Ben's death was accidental. Senior Coroner Caroline Saunders noted that there was no evidence suggesting Ben should not have been felling trees that day. The coroner's report highlighted that Ben and his colleagues followed standard procedures and adhered to safety guidelines. Despite the devastating outcome, the investigation cleared Tree Finesse of negligence. The HSE confirmed that the tragic accident resulted from the unforeseen sleeper tree, not from any breach of safety standards by the company. It was July 13, 2023, near Revelstoke, British Columbia. The summer had been unforgiving, with wildfires ravaging the province. On this day, 19-year-old Devon Gale was doing what she had dedicated herself to for the past 3 seasons, battling fires with the BC Wildfire Service. Devon, known for her kindness and strong sense of duty, had been clearing brush in a remote area where a small fire had broken out. Devon's family, friends, and colleagues remember her as someone who embodied compassion and selflessness. She was in her 3rd year at the University of British Columbia, Okanagan, studying to become a nurse. This dual dedication to firefighting and nursing showcased her commitment to serving others. The wildfire season in British Columbia has been exceptionally brutal this year. The province is grappling with a severe crisis, as over 350 wildfires rage uncontrollably, consuming more than 1.2 million hectares of forest. The combination of scant rainfall and persistently hot, dry conditions has exacerbated the severity and frequency of these fires. An urgent call is for 1,000 international firefighters to support the overwhelmed local teams. On that fateful Thursday afternoon, Devon and her team were tasked with clearing brush in a remote, heavily wooded area. This kind of work, though essential, is extremely dangerous. Fires can reignite quickly, and the dense forest poses constant hazards. Around 3:30 p.m., the Revelstoke RCMP received a distressing call. Devon had lost contact with her team. When her colleagues located her, they found her trapped under a fallen tree. Despite their immediate attempts to administer first aid and airlift her to Queen Victoria Hospital, Devon succumbed to her injuries. News of Devon's passing spread rapidly, drawing condolences from across Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recognized the bravery and sacrifice of Devon and her fellow firefighters in his expressions of grief. British Columbia Premier David Eby also mourned the loss, describing it as significant for everyone involved with the BC Wildfire Service during a particularly challenging time. Devon's brother, Nolan Gale, shared his heartache and admiration for his sister in a heartfelt Instagram post. He described her as thoughtful, hardworking, and selfless, defining her as a sister and firefighter. Devon's death was proof of the dangers faced by wildfire fighters. While fatalities among these brave individuals are relatively rare, the risks they confront daily are immense. The BC Wildfire Service, WorkSafe BC, and the BC Coroner's Service launched investigations to understand Devon's death circumstances, aiming to prevent such incidents. In the days following her death, a memorial was held in Revelstoke to honor Devon. Hundreds of people lined the streets, including members of the BC Wildfire Service, various fire departments, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, all paying their respects. Bagpipers played solemn tunes as a procession made its way through the town. Devon's siblings, Nolan and Caelan, who also serve as firefighters, gave emotional tributes during the ceremony. They spoke of Devon's motivation, compassion, and unwavering dedication to helping others. During his tribute, Nolan praised Devon as one of the best people he knew, noting that her humility would normally prevent such accolades. Meanwhile, Caelan, struggling to hold back tears, urged everyone to remember Devon's legacy in the worsening wildfire conditions. She encouraged laughter in her memory, emphasizing that Devon would never be forgotten. Stephen Hood, a colleague from the BC Wildfire Service, described Devon as immensely beautiful and full of life, highlighting her enthusiasm for her work and her adventurous spirit. Another colleague, Casey Robinson, remembered Devon's welcoming nature towards new crew members, ensuring they felt prepared and supported in their challenging roles. Born November 24, 2003, she grew up in Langley, British Columbia, and was known for participating in competitive swimming and skiing. Her passion, however, was trampoline gymnastics, where she trained and competed with the Revelstoke Acrobats Trampoline Club. This love for physical challenges eventually led her to firefighting, where she channeled her energy into protecting her community. In addition to her athletic pursuits, Devon was a diligent student at UBC Okanagan, preparing for a career in nursing. Leslie Cormack, the principal and deputy vice-chancellor of UBCO, conveyed the campus's devastation over losing such a promising and dedicated student. She expressed deep condolences on behalf of the university to Devon's family and friends, and to everyone in the community who knew and loved her. Devon's dual commitment to firefighting and nursing reflected her desire to make a tangible difference in people's lives. Her determination and selflessness left a lasting impact on those who knew her. The tributes from her family, friends, and colleagues painted a picture of a young woman whose life, though tragically cut short, was filled with purpose and courage. On June 7, 2024, tragedy struck Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Bonnie Mavis Lear, a dedicated employee of 24 years, succumbed to injuries after a horrific accident involving a golf cart. The incident took place in a backstage area of the theme park, far from the sight of visitors enjoying their day. It was a typical busy morning at Disneyland. Bonnie, 60, who worked in membership services at the exclusive Club 33, was on her way to another part of the park. Club 33, a private dining club in New Orleans Square, is known for its elite accommodation and rich history, opening in 1967. Bonnie had been a crucial part of the team, ensuring the club's services run smoothly. On this day, she was a passenger in a golf cart traveling through a backstage area near Critter Country. The cart, driven by another employee, was moving at about 20 miles per hour. Bonnie was seated in a rear-facing seat along with 3 other passengers. As the cart navigated the road, it unexpectedly hit a bump or a dip. In an instant, Bonnie reached for the handrail to steady herself, but the rail, Either loose or unable to support the sudden force, gave way. Without anything to hold on to, Bonnie was thrown from the moving cart. She landed headfirst on the ground. Her skull was fractured on impact, causing severe brain swelling. First responders were called to the scene at around 11:30 a.m. Anaheim police and paramedics quickly arrived and found Bonnie unconscious and gravely injured. They stabilized her and rushed her to a local hospital. Despite their efforts, Bonnie's condition remained critical. Doctors performed emergency surgery, but the damage was too severe. By Thursday morning, she was declared brain dead. Bonnie passed away the next day, June 9, 2024. Bonnie's death deeply shocked and saddened her colleagues in the Disneyland community. Disneyland Resort President Ken Potrock issued a heartfelt statement expressing condolences and highlighting the profound heartbreak caused by the loss of Bonnie. He emphasized the resort's commitment to supporting her family and their cast members during this tragic time and ensuring that they have access to the necessary resources. Friends and co-workers like Ray Delgado, a cast member from Disney California Adventure, were devastated. Ray took to social media, sharing details about the accident and calling for justice. She wrote about the unsafe conditions that led to Bonnie's death, highlighting the need for better safety measures. Ray's post emphasized that the handrail failure was a critical factor and that such incidents should not be brushed aside. The accident raised serious questions about Disneyland's safety practices. Was the golf cart properly maintained? Why did the handrail fail? These questions are essential for understanding what went wrong and preventing future accidents. The golf cart, a common mode of transportation in the park's backstage areas, was expected to be safe. However, the bump in the road combined with the faulty handrail created a deadly scenario. Bonnie's attempt to steady herself was a natural reaction, but the inadequate support led to her tragic fall. The Anaheim Police Department confirmed that no drugs or alcohol were involved, and the driver of the cart was not injured. The investigation focused on the mechanical and operational aspects of the cart, aiming to pinpoint any failures in maintenance or design. Bonnie's life was intertwined with the magic of Disneyland for 24 years. Her dedication to Club 33 and her role in making countless memories for guests was profound. Her passing leaves a void in the Disneyland community, and her story underscores the balance between joy and tragedy in the backdrop of the happiest place on Earth.